Greetings and welcome to this old school RuneScape Archipelago tutorial. This tutorial will be covering the basics. We'll be covering how do you play the game. We'll be covering Archipelago settings, and I'm going to be covering the software you're going to need to play the game as well. This tutorial is mainly for people who have never played old school RuneScape and would like to give it a go since its addition to the official games supported by Archipelago. I will be doing this entire video in one take, no editings or nothing, so sometimes there might be slurred speeches or pauses, I'm sorry about that, but it's the best way for me to do stuff. So hopefully everything is clear. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments, and feel free to look at the description as there are timestamps for every section of the video. So I'm going to be putting a timestamp for every section of the video, if you just need like quick information about one subject or two, you might want to use that. Otherwise, let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to do is create an old school RuneScape account. By going to oldschool.runescape.com, you'll see a new user button here, and you can click that. Now, a new account will be able to host up to 20 characters. So if you plan on doing a ton of old school RuneScape randomizers, you might want to use a secondary account or a burner account, because you will eventually hit that character limit. So you might not want to use like a main account if you've already played it before. In any case, I already have an account, so I'm just going to create a new character. The registration is pretty straightforward, just like any other game. So I'm going to be making another character. I'm going to name it Narim, AP tutorial, whatever. Let me just find it here. There we go. Okay, so now that my character has been created, we're going to get into the software that you're going to be needed. So the first thing you will need is Jagex launcher. So let's go back to the full website and let's download the launcher. No. My bad about this. So you can go to download up here, and then you download the Jagex launcher. This is also a very straightforward procedure, so just download and install, and then you're done. After that, you're going to need RuneLite. RuneLite is a client specifically for old school RuneScape. It allows you to use add-ons. We're going to need two that are obligatory. One of them is Archipelago itself, and we're going to use another one that's called Region Blocker, which will help us delimit the areas that we have access to. Now, the thing with the old school RuneScape randomizer right now is that there is no limitations like in the game itself. You have to impose yourself the limitations that the randomizer gives you. We're going to get more into in-depth with this subject later on when I'm into the game, but essentially the game is not the game doesn't have like an Archipelago mode. Rather, it has an Archipelago plugin that hooks into your game, and you do checks, and it will detect those checks, and people will send them your checks as well, where you can unlock new areas. But those areas aren't blocked. You can just walk into them if you want. You can do everything you can do to finish your seed. If you want to cheat, that's fine, but obviously it's not the point. So that's about it. Once you download RuneLite, you have everything you need to play RuneScape. Now we're going to get into the options. So for people who has played RuneScape before, this is probably all familiar to you, but I'm going to go through every single option and explaining what they do. So not progression balancing. If you've played randomizers before, you know what progression balancing is. Uh, you can always like click the question marks over here. Accessibility is about the same as every other randomizer. If you select full, ensure everything can be reached. In acquired or minimal, you will only get like stuff that's required for your goal, and that can make the seed harder. Starting region. Now, you will always start in Lumbridge no matter what. But if you select a different city, for example, Alcarid or Varric East, you're going to have to physically walk there in the game for you to begin your seed. So if you don't go there and you pick I don't know, Falador for some reason, and you start in Lumbridge but you stay in Lumbridge and do stuff in that area, you will be out of logic. So whatever starting region you pick, your character will always start in Lumbridge on a new save, but you'll have to walk to your actual starting region. Allow brutal grinds. If you are new to RuneScape, do not enable this. You will hate it. But this is essentially like it limits some of the grinds you can do because this game is very heavily about grinding skills. And brutal grinds makes it so that some grinding may be done with only like very slow XP methods, XP gaining methods, and like very repetitive tasks that are not very viable for beginning players. So I don't suggest you turn this on. Progressive task is about the same as most games, so weather skill tasks should always be generated in order of easiest to hardest. Enabled, you will not be assigned mine gold without also being assigned mine silver, mine coal, and mine iron, which are all lower level than mine gold. So that's not recommended if you just started playing this game as well. Uh, I think that as you progress and play more and more, you will probably find out what's all like the regents, in which order can you get them. It's not a big deal if you enable it, I guess, but I'd leave it off for a first playthrough just so you can discover the game a bit more. Max required enemy combat level. Now you will get several tasks, which will be your checks, essentially. And max required enemy combat level is the maximum level that an enemy can be for you to have to complete a task. So in this case, for default, it's 55. So you will never get an enemy that's stronger than level 55 as a goal to as a task, as a check, essentially. So 55 is pretty good. This is the kind of level that's like fairly low, to the point where you wouldn't have to grind like hours and hours on end to actually get to a point where you can beat a higher level. And since it is just a task, well, I mean, it's not like as if it was your goal. So the goal of all seeds, by the way, I forgot to mention this, but it is to complete the quest Dragon Slayer. The dragon is level 82, if my memory serves me correctly. So that gives you a good idea. Like, if you don't have to be level 82 to beat it, you can be much lower. But it gives you a good idea, like to like what kind of enemy level you're going to encounter in a typical old school RuneScape seed. Max combat task count is self-explanatory. There's going to be that for every single skill. It essentially generates up to 16 combat tasks as checks. You can set this to whatever you wish. You might not want, for example, any prayer task at all, and you can put that to 0. That way you will never actually require prayer to do a check, for example. So there's that for every single skill. So combat training is pretty straightforward. You're going to be doing a lot of it, and it's not particularly long for the goals we have to do. So having combat tasks is always a good thing to have a fair amount. Next up, we have prayer. Prayer is an exceedingly long skill to level in the free-to-play mode, which is what we're going to be doing because the randomizer only takes free-to-play mode in account as of making this video. Prayer is leveled up by burying bones and scattering ashes of enemies you've defeated. The experience rate is very slow on this, and I would not recommend going over 25 or maybe even 20 for a first player. It is a very tedious skill to level up, and it essentially it kind of forces you to pick up every single bone you can come across to after like every single enemy you kill. You have to pick up their bones, bury them. So this is not a skill that I recommend putting the levels very high for. Also, if you like another parenthesis, if you are a new player to Archipelago and you have like the habit of creating like ridiculous seeds, I know people like that. They create absolutely insane seeds for their first try so they can do everything. If you put everything at max, like level 99, everything, you will not finish your seed. I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna happen. The level 99 takes a ridiculous amount of time to acquire, especially prayer in free to play. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. It is not viable at all. So don't go too overboard. If you're that kind of player with this game, you're just not going to finish your seed. Prayer task weight is typically the same as every other randomizer. The higher it is, the more chances you will get some. Max required magic level. Max required magic level, I wouldn't put super high for a new player, mainly because you will need a ton of gold to actually buy runes. Runes are used to cast spells. But it is a combat method as well as a method of teleportation and, stuff like weaken your enemy, lower the defense of an enemy, etc. It's all like it's just a spell book with several spells. Mainly it's combat, but there are also a few other utilities in the spell book. But since runes are fairly expensive, I do not recommend that you put this super high on a first playthrough. Maybe 30 is a nice spot, 20 is safer. And tasks on magic typically are cast X spell, cast Y spell. So you're going to have to level your magic to the level required to cast said spell, and you're going to have to find the runes for them and cast them. Some spells have much rarer runes, and since we cannot buy anything off players in this game mode, you are gonna have to find the runes yourselves, and not all of them are for sale in a shop. So maybe putting the max required magic level to a lower level is ideal for a new player. Max required runecraft level. Now, runecrafting is essentially making runes to cast spells. Not all of them can be done in free to play. This is a very long skill, to level up. I would say never put this above 20 on a new character. You will need to mine what is called rune essence, and then turn that rune essence into runes by running to an altar that's somewhere in the map with a talisman, entering that altar and crafting runes, and vice versa, going back to the bank, getting some more pure essence and storing the runes you've just made, and just doing back and forth. Level 20 is not too hard to attain. However, when you go above 30, leveling becomes painstakingly slow, and I would not recommend you to put that setting much higher than that, especially since grinding methods in the free-to-play zone of the game are much less viable than if you were a paying subscriber. Crafting is the art of crafting gems, rings, amulets, as well as ranging armor. It's a skill that's fairly useful, especially for the game mode we're going to be using, because ranging gear is not like readily available, as well as amulets and everything. However, most of these like are not available to free players, so maybe don't put that too high either. It's not going to be like that useful to you after a certain threshold of a level. We need to gather materials in this skill, so it's all about gathering materials and transforming them. I'd say level 25 is about as high as you'd want to go, especially on a first seed. Next up, we have mining. It is self-explanatory. You mine rocks, and then you use smithing to smith them into bars and then equipment. Mining is very long to level up as well as smithing, and I will not put this on a first seed any higher than level 25, 30. If you want a quicker seed, you want to lower that to maybe 15, 20 tops. A good note as well. This is very long. This is a very long game. Never play this on in a like just like a 1 day rando. It has to be an async. Otherwise, people are going to be waiting for you. So this is an async only game. Honestly, don't even bother putting this in a regular rando that you think you'll finish in a few hours. It's not going to happen. So we've covered mining and smithing. Next up, fishing. Self-explanatory. You fish fishes, and then you can cook them. However, fishes are not the only thing you can cook. You can also cook meat that you get from cows that you kill. You can mix, flour and water and make bread, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you can cook. But mainly you'll be cooking the fish that you catch and or the meat and chicken you'll be getting from low-level enemies, such as chickens and cows, obviously, and cooking them. Cooking is a pretty fast skill. However, fishing is not. Fishing is a significantly slower, but cooking is quite fast. For one fish, you might get like 2.5 times the experience of the fish in cooking it. So a fairly fast skill. So you can put this maybe a bit higher if you want to play for a longer time. 40 is about as high as I'd ever go, as well as for cooking. And for fishing, I'd be a bit lower, like maybe in the 20s. Next up, we have fire making. This is also a very fast skill, albeit an extremely useless one. So it's only if you really want to grind this skill. Otherwise, I personally would turn it off because it's very useless. But if you want to have all skills in the pool, you can put this up to 30, 40. It's not super long to level up compared to all the other skills. Woodcutting, in free-to-play, woodcutting is not a super useful skill. However, if you do fire making, you want to have wood cutting as well. So you cut wood and then you light it on fire, and that levels up your fire making level. Wood cutting is not super long to level up. I'd say getting to level 30 takes maybe an hour or two. So it's exponential, by the way. So like the higher level, this like the XP requirement gets significantly higher every level by the time you're level 40-ish. So maybe not put that like over 40 unless you want to play for a super long time. And that's about it, really, for the skills. Now, forces these items to be in their native world. So, I've never played with those options, but I suggest you don't if you're new to this game as well. But essentially, these items will always be where they should be. Uh, Location hints. That's that just gives you like the hints before like you actually hint them manually. Non-local items forces these items to be outside their native world, so that's just the contrary of local items. Excluded locations, this will just exclude certain tasks out of the pool. If there's a few tasks in there that you don't want, you can just exclude those. And priority is the opposite, where you probably will get those. Start inventory. That should not. I guess if you want extra zones, or if you want to start with like a higher limit for your tools or weapons, you might want to put some of this on. If, for example, like you want like the third tier of weapons, you'd write in 2, I believe here. Otherwise, just leave those to 0 so you can start with the beginning weapons as a limit. And areas must be just 1, so you set it to 1 if you want your if you want this area unlocked from the get-go. I'm not entirely sure if like 2 will work. I guess I guess we can try. I'm not gonna use any range, so it's fine. And start with these hints already hinted, so we're not gonna be using that. Actually, let me just lower these, because let's go with 5. Won't be too long, I'm just gonna... Alright, let's go with that. Sure, a single player game. Alright, so 6167, take your port and note. You should know how that works by now. Now let's open the Jagex launcher. The Jagex launcher will have your account as well as the game client that you want to use. We want to use RuneLite and use your character. We're going to be using Narum AB tutorial, and you can click play. Now we're going to be setting up RuneLite for Archipelago. So there's 2 plugins you require, and I'm going to recommend one for new time players. The first thing you want to do is click the wrench up here in the top right. Then go to the plug right here, which is the plugin page where you can install your own plugins. It takes a while to load up. When it's loaded up, first thing I'd recommend is Quest Helper. The Quest Helper will essentially tell you, like, it's a built-in walkthrough into the game that guides you through every single quest. If you want to do the quest legit, you are free to do so, but quests in this game aren't as straightforward as regular MMOs. You have, sometimes things aren't super clear on where you need to go. You don't know, like, sometimes you might need some items prior and the game won't tell you that, but then you get to a place and the NPC asks you for an item and you lose time going back to get that item, etc., etc. So Quest Helper is definitely recommended for first-time players. Otherwise, if you don't want to play the Quest Helper, I honestly would just suggest you to play the game regularly first. Next up, we're going to download Archipelago, so type in Archipelago into the search bar up here. Archipelago randomizer, and then click add and region locker. Region locker will automatically load which area of the game you have access to depending on what you have available in your seed. After that, you want to go to the wrench over here. and you want to go down to Archipelago Randomizer and click the gear icon, and then you're gonna enter your server address, the port, and the slot name as well, and a password if you set one. Then auto reconnect on login for this character, your character name right here, and then you can enable it, and it will enable, and you're gonna have an Archipelago logo over here. You can click that and click connect. Now we are connected to the server, and we have our tasks over here. So every task includes every quest in the free-to-play world, as well as randomized tasks based on the settings you've set. So mine a blue right ore, this is a level 15 mining task, I believe. Smelt an iron bars, a level 15 smelting task, catch some anchovies, etc., etc. And over here you have the combat tasks, and we have just general level tasks. So getting to combat level of 5, having a total XP of 25,000, and so on. And finally, at the bottom, we have what's unlocked. So we have the Lumbridge area, which is our starting area. We can wear armor up to bronze, bows wooden, and arrows iron. So I typed in 2, if my memory serves me correctly, and so that didn't work, I think. Hold on. Let me just go back. I did type in progressive range weapons 2, so that didn't seem to work. I'm not sure what's up with that. Maybe I did it wrong. My apologies about that. And you have no ranged armor. Strike spells. We have Mind Runes, which are the first level spells. There's a second level spell called Chaos Runes. The third one called Death, and the fourth and fifth one, which are member only, and you're not ever gonna see those. So let's get into the game. You can just click play now. It will log you in automatically, proving that you've used the Jagex launcher to launch this. Oh yeah, you might get this message. Just click bottom left here and select a gray colored world. So yeah, you have the gold colored worlds, which are member worlds, so paid subscribers, and then you have gray worlds, which has free to play worlds. Many of those have requirements. Be careful. This one requires 750 skill total, so you cannot enter that because your total level is not 750 since it's fresh account. This one is for PvP arenas, so this is not a PvP world. It's just a world that focuses on having many players in the PvP arena. You don't have to go there, but this world is like all levels. So you can just select that one and click play. As you start the game, you will be thrown onto the tutorial island. So the tutorial island begins with your character creation screen. You can just customize your character. I'm not going to do that because this is merely tutorial. So this is, as you can see, it's very gray. This is the region locker plugin, which we have not looked at. Hold on. So go back to the gear icon, the wrench icon, and then go back to region locker over here, and we can disable region locker GPU for now. We'll re-enable it later. So you can talk to the first character. You can skip dialogue in this game by holding the spacebar. So you can just hold the spacebar. I am an experienced player, so we're just going to skip this text, and I'm going to explain the HUD as we go. Otherwise, you can just do the tutorial island and skip to the next section of this video by looking in the description below. So this game is primarily controlled with the mouse. There's no movement keys. What you do, you might want to use the camera. You can move the camera with the mouse arrows. Otherwise, you can click your mouse wheel and turn your mouse, like just rotate your mouse in the direction you want to turn the camera. But this is mainly a mouse-only game. There's a few hotkeys as well, but like 99% of the game is controlled with the mouse. So first thing first, we want to click on settings here. You have all the settings. I recommend going into the settings right away and checking hide roofs. This will make it so that when you're not in a building, there will be no roof over the building. So if we get out of this building right now without the hide roofs option, you'll see that the roof comes up and you can't look inside. You can't see what's inside, and you'll have to like bring your camera inside the building so you can see inside. Ideally, you want to turn roofs off so that you can always see inside the buildings what's in there, and that just saves a lot of time, most of the time. And I recommend playing it with it. If you don't want it, that's fine, but I just recommend it. Um, Next up, what we're gonna do over here is talk to her. She will teach us how to fish a fish and cook one by building a fire. So over here, all those icons in the bottom, it depends on your monitor. I'm using a 4:3 monitor, so it's a bit more compact. But this hotbar will have all the icons you need. So this is the inventory. You can also access it by pressing Escape. You can also change all your hotkeys by going in settings again, going to controls, and setting a function key to whichever you desire for every single menu. So the first thing we're going to do is fish some shrimp, which is essentially how fishing is done. You just use the proper tool and then click on, where you can right click or left click. I typically right click because there's more than one option on the fishing spots. This one only has net fishing, so we have a small fishing net and we can fish some shrimp. Next up, we have the skills tab over here, which displays your skills. You can hover over them to see how much XP you require until you level up. Otherwise, in RuneLite, you can press on this third icon over here in the top right, XP tracker. It will tell you how much XP you need for your next level, how much you make per hour at the average, and how many actions you need to do to get to the next level. In this case, we've fished shrimps. If we want to get to level 2, we'll need 8 more shrimps to level up. Now she has given us an axe as well as a tinderbox. So we're going to cut a tree, and this is wood cutting. Essentially, wood cutting is just that you cut down trees and it levels up your wood cutting level. And then when we get some logs, you can use the logs and the tinderbox, and that will make up a fire, which will level up our fire making level. After that, you can use the raw shrimps on the fire to cook them. And I've successfully cooked the shrimp. There is a chance, depending on your cooking level, that you might burn the shrimp. This might happen. In that case, you can just fish some more and cook it properly next time. This is completely dependent on RNG, and only your cooking level, in the free world at least, will affect whether you burn food or not. Shrimps will heal for 3 health points. You start with 10, and the more combat you do, the more HP you get. Now this cook will teach you how to make bread. He gives you a pot of flour and a bucket of water. This game is very much like, take for example, Resident Evil, where you will Resident Evil or the classic Silent Hills, where you get an inventory and you combine stuff with other stuff. This game essentially works the same way. So if we use our pot of flour with a bucket of water, it will combine it, and we will get bread dough out of it. Then you can use a bread dough on the range to level up your cooking and cook some bread. You can either eat the bread or sell it at a store for some gold. We'll get into stores later on. Now we can leave this place. And the next tutorial will cover mining. While I'm at it, might as well explain these HUD elements. On the top, you have the map. You can navigate on the map by clicking to where you want to go. So if I want to go in the corner of the house over there, you can just click there. We'll make a little flag, and your character will walk there. Otherwise, you can just click on where you want to be in the map, you will be using the minimap a lot. You can also zoom in and zoom out of the minimap by using the mouse wheel. Next up, we have the quest journal over here, which contains all the quests that you will have to do. So by default, you have every single quest available to you. If you want to omit some of them from your seed, you can do so in the options that we've seen earlier. But all the free quests are typically included. Members quests are not available to us because this is a free account, and Archipelago only takes free zones into account. Red quest means you've never started it, yellow means it's in progress, and green means you've done it. Now we can climb down there, and we get to the mines. Now we're gonna go get our pickaxe from mining instructor, and he'll teach us how to mine tin and copper. So tin and copper, when combined into a furnace, will make a bronze bar. Mining the rock itself will give us mining experience, and converting it into a bar and then using it on the anvil will both give us smithing experience. So by putting all the ore inside of the furnace by either combining the ore with the furnace or clicking the furnace and selecting bronze bar, you'll be making a bronze bar, which then you can combine with the anvil over here and make yourself a dagger. Oh, wait, never mind. Completely forgot that you have to talk to this guy again to get the hammer to actually smith the dagger. So now that we have a hammer, we combine the bronze bar with the anvil, and then you click on the piece of equipment you want to make, and there we go, we have a dagger. Now we can cross over there, and we'll be taught how to use equipment as well as how combat works. Combat in this game is, at least in low levels, extremely simple. So first thing this guy will be telling us is seeing our equipment. So this icon will bring you to your equipment. This is just an overview. Seeing equipment stats over here will give you the overview as well as all the attack, defense, and bonuses that are applied to you depending on which gear you have. Weapon speed is essentially the attack speed that your weapon has. Now he will give us a sword and a shield, which we can both equip, and then we're going to get the combat options. The combat options, there's typically like 3 or 4 things. You've got attack experience, strength experience, defense experience, and in some cases, not this one though, this one does not have it, you have shared experience. Every time you hit 1 damage, it will give you 4 experience points in the skill that you've chosen. So in that case, it'd be attack experience. If we hit this rat with 1 damage, it will give us 4. If we hit it by 3, it's going to give us 12, and so on. And if you do shared experience, it will give 1.33 to all 3 skills. So attack, strength, and defense. Now that we've killed the rat, we will be given a bow and arrow, and we will learn range combat, which is essentially the same. You want to equip your short bow as well as arrows, and then shoot any rat you want. You either have accurate, rapid shot, which will be less accurate but fire about 1.2 times as fast, and long range, which can be shot from a longer range. There's very little reason why you'd want to use long range. Most people use rapid. Now that we're done, we can go to the end of this place over here and climb the ladder. Next stop is the bank. So the bank will be one of your best friends. It allows you to store any item you want just right here. So this carries on to every bank in the world. So if you deposit something in, say, the Bank of Lumbridge, and you go back and you go to Varrock, which is the town next down, the town next door, sorry, you'll be able to retrieve your items Unless you do an Ultimate Ironman. The Ultimate Ironman mode makes it so that you cannot use the bank at all, and all you have are those 28 inventory slots. I do not recommend that for a first playthrough. Next up, this is completely useless for you if you're just going to do randomizer. It's just like weekly polls where you can vote for game changes and uh, guideline changes to the game. Next up, this guy is about account security. I, I mean, if you want to read it, go ahead. But it will give you this little icon over here, which is account management. It'll tell you if you have membership, if you have inbox messages. I have never read those in over 20 years, and I don't think you'll ever need to either. And as well as a name changer, if you want to change your name. This is for the polls that we've just seen now, and these are just links to websites. Very good. Now we're moving on. If you want to log out at any point, you want to stop playing, just click the log out button at the top right, which is the X, and then you can click here to log out. Let's talk to him. He will teach us about prayer as well as friend lists. So this is the prayer tab. This is related to the prayer skill that I talked about earlier, where you bury bones and scatter ashes. This will give you temporary boosts to your skills. Most of these are not worth much until level 37, where you get Protect from Magic, Protect from Range at level 40, and Protect from Melee at level 43. These are some of the most useful prayers in the game. Anything before that is not super useful, but might come in handy. If you want to use them, go right ahead. I suggest you look into a more in-depth tutorial on prayer for RuneScape if you want to learn like more details about them. But Protect from Magic will essentially negate almost any magic damage that monsters will do to you. And same thing with range and melee. You can only activate one at a time, and this will drain your prayer points over time. When you reach 0, you can either go to a church, or if you're a member, you can use a prayer potion. Next up, we have the friends list. Self-explanatory. You add friends or delete them. And there's an ignore list here, which I'm sure not enough people use. Now let's get out. And now that we're here, before we get into this building, you want to talk to Ironman Tutor over here. This is required by Archipelago rules for this game. You want to talk about him and tell me about Ironman. And Ironman essentially prevents you from trading with players and picking up stuff that players leave behind or drop on the floor. And it is the intended way to experience the Archipelago. So you click, I'd like to change my Ironman mode, and just select regular Ironman if you ever want to go higher. It is up to you, but I suggest you start with regular Ironman. After that, it's going to ask you for a pin. Just set a pin, anything will do. I use the keypad, just so you don't see my pin, but you click the numbers. Otherwise, you can also use the keypad with plugin, but I'm not sure what the name is anymore, so you might want to look into that if you're interested. But I can't help you because I've installed this years ago. Now that we're in Ironman, we're going to go to the final tutorial, and that is magic. So we'll unlock the spellbook, so you can click the spellbook. You will see spells that you can currently cast at your level. Now we talk back to him, and he will give us some runes, enough runes to cast Wind Strike, which is the level 1 spells. This is the full spell book. You can also enable it by going to filters and checking show spells you like the magic level to cast. I'm not going to do that, just to make everything a bit more cleaner for you. So now we have to cast Wind Strike on a chicken. We've successfully casted the Wind Strike, which did 2 damage, and if I've already done that, perhaps you should move on. You can talk to the instructor again, and he will ask you if you want to go to the mainland, and we are done with the tutorial. Now that tutorial island is done, we're gonna go back to over here in our plugins. We're gonna re-enable region locker, and I'm gonna show you how it works right now. So as you can see, this is colorful and everything. This means you've unlocked this region. Over here, we have not unlocked this southern part of the map, so the game will block it off by putting a gray tint over it. You can still walk inside of it, but you'll be out of logic. So if you want to go in there, you can, but it is considered cheating. So think of it as like going out of bounds in a randomizer that has a glitchless logic. But we are going to be following the rules. More things have appeared on the HUD, namely the chat channel if you want to join a clan chat. And there's the music player as well here, which you can pick songs from. Or if you want to just turn off the music, you can do so in the settings. Everything's off for me now. So you're thrown into the world. First thing we're going to look at now is the world map. So you can click the planet over here and see the world map. The red squares are the zones that you have not unlocked. Whenever you will unlock something by getting a check from someone else, it will come into color and you'll be able to walk inside of it. And we're going to talk about the icons as well. So you have icons on the left here. They are, it's a legend. You will get used to these. There's a lot, but you will get used to them as the more you play. For example, this little basket here is the general store, which is a place where you can sell your stuff for money to an NPC. So you might want to use that, especially early game in a randomizer. For example, you have an anvil area. You can always hover over the icons so you can know what they are. These fishing spots will tell you what you can fish over there. So we can fish salmon here. We can fish shrimp over here, anchovies. It'll always say like the highest level, I think, fish that you can fish. But there's typically 2 fishes you can fish at every fishing spot. So for example, this is salmon, but you can also, I believe, fish some pike as well. Next up, we're going to look at the skills themselves. So we've talked about the skills roughly in our introductory phase of the video. Now we're going to look at them in more in depth. So let's go with smithing. So the first armor you can smith is bronze. You can click on it and you will check everything that you can smith and what level is required. So for example, a bronze bar is level 1. Then at level 15 you'll be able to craft the second weakest armor in the game, which is iron. Currently we only have access to bronze armor. So we'll want to craft some bronze by mining bronze in the world. And then you can go, for example, to bronze, and you'll see that at level 1 we can only craft daggers and axes. However, the more we level up, the more advanced equipment that we can make. A good rule of thumb, typically you will want the scimitar. The scimitar is pretty much the go-to weapon. It has a fast hit rate, it has a good hit rate, and it will hit fairly hard. It is not the strongest weapons in terms of strength, but in terms of reliability, it's pretty much the go-to. So if you'll want ideally to craft a scimitar. Alternatively, there is a scimitar shop over here in Alcarid if you ever unlock it. So that's about it really. Let's look at our tasks real quick. I will be going out of logic just to show you the game. But let's start with the first quest so you can see how the quests work. The first one you'll typically do is Cook Assistant. Cook Assistant is in the castle over here. You can see all the quests over here. They have an X on it if you've not started them. And they will be red when you highlight them if they are members only. But the one we want is Cook's Assistant. You'll see it's in black. That means it is available to free-to-play members. Free-to-play players, my bad. So we're gonna go talk to the NPC which gives this quest. It essentially just gather 3 ingredients to bake a cake and bring it back to him. Quests will give you quest points, which are displayed here. For your goal, you want to complete Dragon Slayer 1, which requires 32 quest points. This requires roughly about a little bit more than half, maybe 2/3 of the quests to be done. Some quests will give more quest points. This one, for example, um, Cook's Assistance will only give you 1 quest point. However, Romeo and Juliet will give you 5. So it all depends on the quest. Uh, it, the number of quest points that you get is kind of arbitrary to me because, for example, Romeo and Juliet is done in like 10 minutes and is very easy, whereas like Dragon Slayer gives less than that, I think. Anyway, so 32 quest points is what you want to start Dragon Slayer. So we're gonna start Cook Assistant right now by talking to the cook. Just hold spacebar and typically it's the option what's wrong. We will check out the quest helper, however, right away. If you've not installed it, you can skip this part, I guess, but otherwise I'm going to show it to you. By clicking the quest helper icon on your right bar, you can select the quest we want. For example, we want Cook Assistant right now, so I'm just writing in Cook's Assistant. You can click on the arrow here, and you can either do full assistance, medium assistance, or minimum assistance. We'll just do full assistance for now. So for him, you just ask what's wrong, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to start the Cook Assistant quest? You say yes, and then you just skip the text. And now this quest is very simple, so you can just like click out of it, but sometimes quests will require you to select certain options in the chat. This will be highlighted in blue. It will tell you exactly which option to pick to actually make the quest progress, but this one does not require anything of that, so we don't get like blue text on anything. We can just walk right out and start the quest right away. So now you're going to get your objectives in order, typically in order. You can do them in any order, but most of the time you want to follow what's on the top left here. In this case, you have to milk a cow, and then we're going to get an egg and get flour. You also have all the stuff you've done in the tutorial. They give it to you right away. You can also, something very useful, I forgot to mention that, if you go into settings, all settings, and you go into controls, you can select shift click to drop items. So typically in RuneScape back in the day, you had to right click an item, click drop, and if you have to drop everything in your inventory, which you will need, that gets pretty tedious. It's a lot of clicks. But with shift click to drop items, you can just enable that and hold shift, then click the item and it will drop on it, drop it on the floor right away. So you might want to do that. You might want to enable that because it's fairly useful. Next up, we already have a bucket because we got one thanks to the tutorial island. You want to milk the cow. After that, you want an egg, so you can go north over here to this little farm, which is a chicken coop. You can pick an egg over there. For newer players, I suggest you train on chickens at the beginning because you are extremely low level, and chickens never do any damage to you. You cannot die to chickens. However, cows, which are level 2, will do damage to you, and early game, they can kill you. When you die in this game, you will have 15 minutes to retrieve your gear from the place you died at. So wherever you died in the world, you need to go back to that place in 15 minutes so you can fully recover your stuff. Otherwise, you can pay the Grim Reaper for him to retrieve your stuff. I don't recommend it, especially not in Iron Man mode in the rando, where gold will be fairly precious to you. Next up, we're gonna go get grain. So pick some wheat. Sorry, north of Lumbridge. We pick up wheat. It will highlight what you need. You also have run energy. I forgot to mention that, but there is a limited amount of run time that you have. This is also determined by your weight, which you can see in equipment stats. So you can see my inventory is fairly full of stuff right now. We are at 16 kilograms, which significantly reduces the amount of time I can run for. Pick up the width. We can just go into there and grind it into flour. And after that, we're gonna have all the ingredients we require for this quest. I'm gonna turn off this plugin just because it's gonna be easier on the eyes. I'm sorry about that. So as you can see, this is highlighted. Then when we put the grain in, this will highlight. We have to use these, then go back down. The game will tell you what's happening in the chat box. It works similarly to a dungeon crawler where things are typically explained by text. You can also examine stuff if you want, like, little details. Sometimes there's jokes hidden in there. So now we have all we need. We have a bucket of milk, an egg, and a pot of flour, and we can turn in this quest. Next up, we're going to move on to all the skills. We've covered them in the tutorial, but we're going to look at the goals we have, and I'm not going to do all of them, obviously, because this would take hours and this video will never end, but we're still going to look at a few things. So the first thing I think we're going to do is a combat task, which is to kill a goblin, which is a level 2 monster that's just residing right here, and we have access to that. So in logic, that would be the first thing you'd want to do, is kill a goblin. It's level 2, it's probably not going to kill you. Actually, it's most definitely not going to kill you. Oh, also, your combat level. Your combat level is displayed in the combat options at the top here. Combat level 3.4, and if you hover over it, it will tell you what you need to get an extra combat level. In this case, two levels in attack and or strength, 3 in defense and or hit points, etc., etc. Oh, also, attack level will determine the strength of the weapon you can wield. In that case, if you want a steel weapon, you'll need to have level 5 attack, and it will also increase your accuracy. Strength is the maximum amount of damage you can deal in one blow, and defense is self-explanatory. It also will be like the baseline for armor as well, whereas like attack is for weapons, armor is for defense. So if you want steel armor, you're gonna require level 5 defense. So typically, just so you know, in free worlds with only like Iron Man mode, you won't be able to buy gear as easily as you would be able to if you were in regular mode. Therefore, typically the highest level armor you might find will be Mithril, which was level 20, and the higher level weapons you might find are Adamant, which will be level 30 attacks. So typically you might not want to go over that unless you want to train. So now we have the quest complete text box. It will tell you how many quest points it gives you, and it will typically also gives you goodies. Sometimes it's items, sometimes experience, sometimes both. In this case, we get 300 experience in cooking, and this levels up our cooking right back to level 4. So quests are also useful for getting fast experience. Some of them don't give experience. However, in the quest helper, you can see what the rewards are, I believe. Yeah, rewards, 1 quest point, 200 coins. That's just an example. Let me just quit out of that. Alright, now next up, we want to kill a goblin. For our first check, we've completed Cook Assistant, and it gave us an item. We're not sure what it is because this is currently bugged up, but let's open up our text line for Archipelago, and we can check it out. Let me just check the port 60167. So it's progressive weapons that we got. In that case, we'll be able to wear... Oh, wait, it actually worked. Oh, okay, so bows actually work. So we set in 2, and it gave us the second level bow. So the first level is regular, which is wood, short bow. After that, it's oak, and level 3 is willow. So by entering 2, it gave us the right level of weapon that we can wear in the Archipelago settings earlier. After that, we just got progressive weapons, so now we can wear iron weapons. You can, just like the map, wear any weapon you want if you find them. However, you'll be out of logic if, for example, I wear a steel weapon, but I only have weapons up to iron, I will be out of logic. So it's up to you to control yourself and actually limit yourself to what the game is giving you. Except for killing a goblin, and this will give us another check. You can see it's going to go away right about now. There we go, it's gone. And it gave us south of Varrock. So we can probably go to Varrock right away. Oh, no, there's still... Oh, right. We have to unlock the farms first. So you can see now this is considered South Varrock. So this entire chunk of the map is now unlocked. However, we cannot go there because we have not unlocked this chunk yet. So if you walk into this chunk to go over here, you are out of logic. That's about it, really. This is pretty much what you need to know to begin. The icons represent the skill that you need to level up. So this is mining, this is crafting, for example. You can always remind yourself by hovering over the skill icon. It will tell you what skill it is. And you can always click on those skills to know what you can currently craft, mine, etc. I will cover a few early game areas as well in the map. So if you start in Umbridge, which I recommend for first-time players, you have a general store over here, as I said earlier, which you can sell your items to. You can sell a few of this junk if you wish, but I would not sell any tools if I were you. We have trees all over the world, so woodcutting is never an issue. You will always find trees around. South of here in the Lumbridge Swamp is typically something you might want to unlock early. You have a fishing spot that you can fish to. There's shrimps over there. Then you have a mining spot right next to it, which has copper and tin. Over here we have a furnace as well as an anvil, where you can smith your weapons and your bars, not in that order. We have the cow farm over here, which will be your main grinding spot alongside this chicken coop over here. Start with the chickens, and after that you can move on to the cows when you are a bit higher level. Typically, level 6, 7 is good enough. You'll get maybe 12, 13 HP by that point. And the chickens you kill can be cooked in here for food. This is just one tip of many. There are many ways to play this game. There are many resources available to you, and you'll probably find a route that suits you best. For crafting, you will be killing cows over here, which will drop cow hides, which you will want to transform over here in Alcarid. And Alcarid is a good area to unlock early too, because it has a huge mine with a ton of stuff. It has a furnace as well, but you can always use this one. This is also a good starting area. There are not many enemies to train off of, though. Enemies are typically level 10, 15, so if you're level 3, this might not be a good place to train combat. Next up, we have the tannery, which can transform your cowhides into leather. And then you can go to the crafting shop over here to get you some needle and thread and craft yourself some ranging armor, which you can either wear if you have the check unlocked, or you can sell to the general store for some gold. This will level up your crafting. Also, there are many skills in here that are members only. We don't take account of those. Rune crafting, you will require the Rune Mysteries quest to actually start. Rune Mysteries will give you access to the skill. It is a fairly short quest, however, you need several areas in the map to actually complete it, namely Varrock, Central Varrock, East Varrock, no, just Central Varrock, my bad, and the Wizard's Tower. And to train rune crafting, you will also need south of Falador, as the first altar for the first runes is located here. So it's definitely not early seed stuff that you're gonna see, but you will need to complete rune mysteries to do some rune crafting. Prayer, as I mentioned before, is done by burying bones, which is fairly easy. It's just one click. Let me just kill this goblin here right quick. So every humanoid will, not necessarily humanoid, but also beasts, anything like that, will drop bones. These will drop regular bones, which only give 4 experience. So you just left click on it. It will bury them, give you 4 experience in prayer. So as you can see, this levels very, very slowly. Regular bones will give you 4. There's a low-level enemy, about level 15 here, called the Giant Toad. It will drop big bones, which gives 15 experience. So this is a bit faster. So if you get a good combat level and you need some quick prayer experience, this is a good way to do it. Demons will drop ashes, which you can scatter. We have not encountered any, at least I have not spotted one, but you will see imps all over the world, just small imps walking around. These will give you ashes. There's one right here. And these ashes will give you 10 prayer experience, which is a decent prayer experience for the type of gameplay that we're doing right now. The imps are also related to the imp catcher quest. And they will drop beads. This is good to know as well. They teleport around, by the way. And yeah, these imps have a chance of dropping beads. You need all 4 colored beads to complete imp catcher. So I suggest that you kill every imp you find. And if you find a bead, and then drop one this time. There's yellow, black, red, and I forgot the 4th color, white. And you just pick them up and put them in your bank. They will drop even if you don't have the quest started, so try to kill as many imps as you can and pick up their beads. Otherwise, you might have to do that later on, and it's kind of a chore to do. So kill any imp you see and collect their beads. What else could I cover? As far as enemies goes, I think imps are the only ones you want to constantly kill. Every monster obviously has a different loot table. Men will typically drop gold or low-level crafting ingredients, which you can typically get easily like anywhere else. But if you're locked to this region, it might be not a bad idea to kill a few to get some regents. But as I said, you will just develop your own strategies for playing the game in a randomizer setting the more you play. What else is there? I've covered prayer, range, we've covered combat, we've covered crafting, we've covered mining, smithing. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, there is the Archipelago Discord, which you can join, and I'm sure anybody would love to help you over there. Alternatively, there are way more than enough RuneScape tutorials out there, but as far as the randomizer go, I think this is all you need to do to start up. This game is fairly easy to understand, and it is fairly fairly easy to pick up, but it is also an extremely long one, so be prepared if you want to start an archipelago of this game. Be prepared to be invested, as this is the longest game by far in the roster of games that are available to Archipelago officially right now. Please expect several tens and tens of hours to complete a single seed. So always do these in synchronous archipelagos. So yeah, if you have any other questions, you can also ask them in the comments below. And I hope this helped you out, and I hope that everything was clear enough. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.